What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome back for some more Fire Emblem Heroes, and today I'm going to be giving you guys my first impression and the stat speculation of the Midpoint banner and if you should be summoning on it or not. So we have got Shadows of Valentian and Nott as the banner this time, and the first unit that we have is Shadows of Valentian Palla, who's also a sword flyer. So her weapon is really unique honestly, and we already know her stat spread, so she does have pretty good attack stat at base 42. Not only that, she does have pretty high defense as well. So Lady Blade is a dual phase brave weapon that can also give you adaptive damage, and that is extremely unique. Not only that, she has got Kanto in her weapon, so I guess Sumiya didn't really last long with her uniqueness in Kanto in her weapon. So Kanto in her weapon just allows her to have a lot of movement options without really occupying her slot B skill with the near trace skill, which is really good. And Lady Blade is going to be a pretty strong weapon for both phases, as in the player phase you can hit twice, get that adaptive damage and go back with Kanto, and in the enemy phase she already has the dual phase brave effect, so that is pretty useful. And she can just shred through a lot of the high defense units who would otherwise be a problem for many of the brave weapon users. So the adaptive damage is pretty good, but keep in mind that Mystic Boost Sacred Seal is pretty common and that can stop the adaptive damage. So that is something you have to consider while using her if you're going to be depending on the adaptive damage a lot. And she also has attack res rain on her, mainly because of that adaptive damage. But like I said, again, if you're going to be facing units with Mystic Boost, then the rain skill, the resistance rain doesn't really help you there, and defense debuff would have helped you there. She also has R-Dual Flying Force, so I'll be making a standalone video about the best users of it, so look forward to that in few hours. So overall she's a really solid unit, and there's not really as much competition for sword flyers as it is for lance flyers, so she's going to be standing out, especially with such a strong weapon that has got utility in Kanto as well as dual phase brave weapon that also does adaptive damage. So we can see her stats here, and that's how we know her stats. She is incredibly slow, so I pretty much subtracted her weapon as well as the R-Dual skill for her base stats here. She ends up having 173 BST, and then we have got Zeke. So now we have finally got the trio of Camus, Zeke, and Sirius, and he's a Lance Cavalier, and he is a bulky Lance Cavalier with that Holy Gradivis. He also gets an auto double if he's above 25% HP, so he doesn't really have to run quick riposte or anything like that, which means that he can just run a loud skill in slot B, which he already comes with, and run something like Mystic Boost in his Sacred Seal to give him the self-sufficiency for this kind of weapon. And he has got Bonfire, Attack Defense Catch. Attack Defense Catch is actually pretty recent from Legendary Secret, and they have been releasing these catch skills really quickly after they have been on the legendary units, like even with Legendary Claude and his attack speed catch, because like cat skills are decent, but they are not like extremely good or better than the existing tier 4 skills, at least in my opinion. So he has got some really great fodder. He also has defense res menace, which could be a pretty good skill for many of the dragons. He doesn't exactly have the adaptive damage to make use of the resistance debuff, but this is mainly a way to buff up his own resistance in a sense. So I think that he's going to be pretty similar to Ducel when it comes to stat spread, because he is quite slow, getting doubled here, and he is also going to be having that auto follow up. His bonfire damage can help us calculate his defense and also his attack stat because of the damage he's doing to this bow flyer. So I think he's going to be pretty similar to Ducel, but with distant counter. So he's not going to be as bulky as Ducel because he doesn't get the in combat debuff as Ducel's weapon, but he can just attack at a distance. But he does not have to run distant counter in his slot A, and he can definitely make use of like sturdy stance or bracing stance and get that guard effect, which is really good for a slow unit. So I do think that he's going to be quite similar to Ducel, but on the off chance I think that they might just reduce his resistance by a lot and give him low resistance but still like decent speed, like maybe 30 speed or something like that, where like auto follow up is still going to be useful. So they could do that, but if they want to just optimize the stat spread, then of course the Ducel stat spread is right there as an option. And then we have got Luthier as the demote unit on this banner. So a lot of people have been waiting for him, and he shows up as a demote. That's a good thing and a bad thing. So he's a green infantry mage, and it's a good thing if you're a fan of him because you can plus and merge him rather easily compared to if he was 5-star locked. But being a demote unit means that he does not have a preferred weapon, and he just comes with a Fox Tome. And he also has some really good fodder for a demote unit, and so Sparrow and Guard. So any of these skills being available at 4-star would be absolutely amazing from the permanent summoning pool. So Luthier doesn't have any unique weapon, but still I don't think just because he's a demote, it means that he is not good, because I feel like he might have pretty good stat spread. And I'm expecting something similar to this. Having a high speed, if he ends up having this kind of high speed, then it would be really good as a demote, similar to Ark basically. And he does have a bit more high HP than the regular mages, so that's why I feel like this could be a possibility similar to Ark. And he can also have pretty decent attack stat at base 36. So we haven't really got any kind of green infantry mage as a demote since Bowie, and that was 4 years ago. So this is definitely not as common as a red mage, so that's why I don't think he's gonna be all that bad as a demote, especially if he ends up with a speed stat similar to my speculation. That might be a possibility because he does have Sparrow and also this Foxstorm, so he can get pretty fast actually, just with his base kit. So that is Zeke, and then we have got the star of this banner, essentially Nott, as a dark mythic unit who can boost your defense, and we already know her stats because they do show that, and even before that we did know that because data mine, and we can definitely know the stats of the enemy units. So here is Nott as a lance infantry unit, and she's a dark defense mythic unit who can boost up your defense. I'll be making a separate unit review on her, and I'll be going over her builds and all of the stuff because we already know her stats, we already know her skills, and we already know the kind of impact she will have on the meta of Aether Raids, especially Vault of Heaven. And you should definitely try to spark for her on this banner if you do care about Aether Raids in any kind of capacity, because Nott is gonna be pretty much a necessity for dark defense as a 7-slot mythic unit. So she's definitely worth summoning for if you do care about Aether Raids. And in general, this banner is pretty good for summon because of the spark system and also the R-Dual flying on Palla. So here we have got Rim Faxies. So this is pretty much a weapon giving her extra stats and bonus doubler if she is above 25% HP. And then she's got Dragon Fang, Distant Counter, and she's also got Moon Twin Wing. So this is basically a preferred damage reduction skill that also has -5 attack and speed debuff on the foe during the combat. And the speed debuff is a huge thing because that can just make her have damage reduction much better against many of the faster units, especially when they're supported by Peony in the light season. So that is Moon Twin Wing, her exclusive skill and her preferred weapon. And she also has a menace skill, which does have pretty good synergy with her weapon because it does have bonus doubler, so buffing herself with this kind of skill is pretty good, and it does stack up with the in-combat debuff of Moon Twin Wing, so she can definitely get pretty deceptively bulky and also incredibly fast to make use of the damage reduction. So I'm definitely going to be going over her in depth because she's going to be a very meta relevant unit for months to come or even years to come, because Pathfinder is pretty insane from her weapon. And yeah, I didn't really talk about Pathfinder, but like I said, I'll be covering that in a separate video for the review of her. And yeah, that's the Midpoint banner. We are also going to be having Tatiana actually as a quest reward, I'm guessing, similar to how Emblem was last year. So here we can see Tatiana as a blue infantry mage. We're also going to be getting 2 5-star copies of Tatiana from the Midpoint quest, similar to how we got Emran last year, but this time she is 5-star. So this is really huge for people who want to make her as a merge project because it saves you feathers, and we already know her weapon. It's a new inheritable weapon. It's basically the blue version of Conch Bouquet or Metal and Float, and it's completely outclassed by Pack Blooms Plus from Valentine Veronica, which we do have in the Grail shop. So this is not a very good weapon to inherit or to run it on many of the blue mages. Just run Pack Blooms Plus. It's a much better weapon. She also has Ardent Sacrifice, which is a reference to her being a healer. And she also comes with Swift Stance 2, which increases the value of Ronan the Accuser because you can fodder him for Swift Stance 3, Joint Drive Speed, and also his Dual Rally skill. So this makes him a really good fodder, and he is on the Mythic banner as of right now. So Swift Stance is really amazing. I hope that we can also get Kestrel Stance eventually. And then she's got Attack Opening, which is present on other units as well. So Swift Stance is definitely the main thing from her kit for fodder. And I hope that she has got some really good stat spread. Maybe she could be a bulky mage. We'll have to see. We don't really know her stat spread. So that's Tatiana, a free 5-star unit that we're going to be getting. So I do think that this banner is definitely worth summoning on because we are going to be having Forging Bonds. So it's like 135 orbs to just get to the spark with the tickets. which is really good for getting Nott, and I'm definitely going to be summoning on this banner with my free-to-play account, which I don't really do often, because Nott is just absolutely amazing, and our dual flying on Palla is also really good. Zeke also could be a pretty good unit if he ends up with the same optimized stat spread of Ducel, but if he ends up having really low resistance, then probably not as bulky. Sparking in general now does have the value with the Celestial Stone, so definitely I'm going to be going with this banner with my free-to-play account. So let me know what you think about this banner and Nott as the mythic unit. I'll be good to hear that. And I hope you all enjoyed this video. I want to thank all of my YouTube members for their constant support. And if you enjoyed, then please be sure to leave a like and a comment. Helps me tremendously, and be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell because YouTube sub boxes have the same speed stat as Palla from this banner. So that's it. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.